people like me. You need people like me so you can point your f***ing fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
News. Okay, we'll start with this. This past Friday, as part of a most valuable promotion show, young Crystal Rosado returned to action to advance to a professional record of 4-0 against Russia's own Veronica Dmitriyeva. Seasoned journeywoman, there to give a young up-and-coming fighter some rounds. That's exactly what she did with Crystal, who stopped her off a hard left hand, a hard left hook.
Stoppage seemed a little premature. I mean, granted that Veronica couldn't defend herself and she was clearly hurt, but I did want to see Crystal Rosado finish that steak, finish eating that meal.
Too fast, too sharp a combination puncher for Veronica Dmitriyeva, who couldn't keep her off and couldn't keep her out. Staying off the line while putting punches together. Very nice.
Off the jab.
Closing the distance with the lead hand, sometimes doubling up on the jab to get close enough to bring over the backhand and start the combination. Showing a great variety of punches. Upstairs, downstairs, too fast and too strong at only 21 years old. Crystal Rosado is really something. This contest was fought in the bantamweight division. Bantamweight, that's where Dina Thorsland reigns as a unified champion. That's where Miyo Yoshida's got the IBF and Shernika Johnson has got the WBA. That's where this contest took place, though I'm not for sure if Crystal is going to stay there.
She started out as a super flyweight.
And it's conceivable that because she's young, because she's only 21, she could probably continue to make super flyweight, but I don't know, maybe her body is growing, maybe she's more comfortable at 118 and she wants to stay at 118.
I see a world champion.
I see a world champion in Crystal Rosado. More than that, in keeping with the tradition of Puerto Rican boxers and Puerto Rican boxing, producing some of the best boxer punchers the sport has ever seen. Boxer punchers like Felix Trinidad, Miguel Cotto.
Is Crystal a boxer puncher?
I will admit it's a bit too soon to tell because she has some of the right ingredients to be not only a great boxer puncher, but a great pressure fighter. It all depends on her temperance and her patience under the hot lights and inside of a round. Does she want to fight all 2 minutes of a round, or does she want to take a more measured approach? She can do both.
How a fighter fights, at least in my opinion, has everything to do with an internal rhythm.
And what they feel more comfortable doing under the hot lights. Because anybody can throw a jab. A pure boxer can throw a jab. A boxer puncher can throw a jab. Even a pressure fighter. But it's the intent behind the jab that determines what they are. What they would rather be doing.
Anybody can throw a jab. Anybody can throw a backhand or a body shot.
Everybody can, with every base style. But it's how you want to fight the fight that determines what you are. Are you a boxer puncher? Are you a pressure fighter?
How do you use the time?
If nothing else, we can see that Crystal Rosado at her very best is a mid-range to inside combination puncher. She's not an outside fighter. She's not an outside cutie pie. She wants to stay with you and stay on you, letting punches go. As they step her up in competition, perhaps she will start to take an even more measured approach, but right now she's physically strong, fast.
4-0 with 2 KOs, having debuted as a professional in August of last year.
There's still plenty of time left in this one to get her out 1, maybe 2 more times before the year is out. As usually, in a fighter's first couple of years as a fighter, that's when they fight most often, because they need the rounds, they need the experience. As it stands, Crystal hasn't fought more than 4 rounds in 4 fights. They've got to step her up to 6, then 8, then subsequently 10.
She's young, so there's no rush.
What you do is you build her up, and you take your time when you do it, because she has time. So by the time she's fighting for an alphabet title, she's more than ready to win it, and more than ready to defend it.
Cristal.
Ideally, they would use what time remains in this calendar year to get her out 2 times. But I do see an opportunity to, at minimum, get her on the undercard of the upcoming Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight set to go down in the fall, where the Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano rematch will also be taking place. I want to see Crystal on that show.
Cristal.
So far, so good from Puerto Rico's young up-and-coming prospect, Crystal Rosado. I like what I saw on Friday. I want to see more.
You know what I'm saying? And when they mission takes thing, it's always the forefront of social media. You know what I'm saying? Again, sometimes when I say something, they misunderstand. You know what I'm saying? Like, they keep saying Shakur is the biggest fight. No, he's not.
It's not? You know what? You know what?
What?
Maybe it's not. But the Frank Martin fight wasn't the biggest fight, and you didn't have any aversion fighting Frank. So what's your aversion to fighting Shakur?
You understand what I'm saying? Because in history, going back looking at Floyd days, when he fought an African-American fighter, the money don't generate.
Wait a minute. Are you saying black fighters don't sell?
Is that what you're saying?
We just seen two of the hottest fighters in the world fought against each other. They couldn't even outdo Tank and Garcia fight.
Yeah, it's because you guys waited too long to make it.
The fight went kind of stale, and frankly, the PBC didn't do a good enough job promoting it.
They were the ones at the helm of the promotion.
Correct, because let's talk about that right there.
I'll check on that, and then you just look at the pay-per-view buys with Martin and Tank.
Wait, are you saying Tank and Frank, they didn't sell that much? Is that what you're saying? You're admitting.
You know what I'm saying? So when I sit back at a good fight is chasing the Canelo numbers, the Floyd numbers. That's a big fight. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to see that fight because they want to see what happens. Me personally as a coach, I don't think it's a good fight because of the simple fact.
Oh, so now you don't think the Shakur Stevenson fight is a good fight, even though people are asking for it?
Not a good fight.
Shakur's already stated, I'm not changing my style of fighting. You know what I'm saying? People want to see what? A fight.
And you wonder why I have no faith, no confidence that the fight between Gervonta Davis and Shakur Stevenson will happen later on this year. Calvin Ford confirmed that an offer will be sent to Shakur Stevenson to fight Tank Davis. We're going to send you a contract with the money. If they take it, they take it. It is what it is. We just seen what happened just now when Loma didn't take the fight. Shakur is one of the last of the big four to tell you the truth.
He's full of shit.
You see him sitting there telling you that two black fighters can't sell if they fight against each other, using Floyd Mayweather as an example. Did you forget that Floyd Mayweather and Shane Mosley sold 1 million pay-per-view buys when they fought each other?
1 million.
So what you're saying is a lot of bullshit. What, because Holyfield versus Lewis didn't sell? Tyson versus Lewis didn't sell?
Tyson versus Holyfield, 1 and 2. Those didn't sell.
Why don't you cut the crap? You're trying to find a way out of this because as a coach, as a trainer, you know Shakur's style doesn't do Gervonta's any favors, and you're just trying to find some other reason not to do it. Some kind of an excuse, and your excuse is that if two black fighters fight each other, it won't sell. History tells another story.
It's not about where they're from. It's about when you do it.
He tried to use Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford as an example of this, but with Terrence and Errol, you guys waited too long to do the goddamn fight. That was the problem there. When the fight was at a fever pitch, and everybody wanted to see it, was circa 2018 and 2019. You guys drug it out for 5 years.
Errol flipped that Ferrari, lost a lot of steam, a lot of momentum, and a lot of people lost faith that the fight would ever happen, so that by the time it does happen, they're not even as excited about it.
Unless we forget Errol Spence Jr.'s famous quote while he was under the influence that Terrence Crawford was on the wrong side of the street. You didn't want Top Rank to be involved, but had they been involved, you would have had both PBC and Showtime promoting the show on one end and Top Rank and ESPN promoting it on another. It would have been an even bigger show if you would have done it when they were still promoting Terrence. You didn't want to do that.
Using Terrence and Errol as an example of why Gervonta and Shakur shouldn't fight, yeah, that's a lot of bullshit.
It's bullshit. The time is now. The demand is there. You're just afraid of what will happen if you match Shakur's style against Gervonta's, because it's not going to be easy to stay on him and stay with him. He's taller, he's longer, he's got more reach, more wingspan and speed of his own, and even if he's not big on power, Gervonta's power don't matter if he can't land.
Shakur's fast on his feet.
Light on his feet. He's not going to stand in one spot. He's going to move around, make you come to him, walk you into punches. Calvin Ford is afraid that Shakur's going to make Gervonta look bad or worse. He's going to beat him.
He knows he's going to beat him.
While confirming that they're going to make an offer to Shakur, yeah, a lowball offer, an offer you expect him to reject because you want him to reject the offer, so you can blame it on him when a fight don't happen and go fight somebody else. Someone you're more confident that Gervonta can beat.
The token Floyd examples.
Do you know how fucking nauseous I get whenever one of these guys brings up Floyd Mayweather and what Floyd Mayweather did, how Floyd Mayweather made his millions, sold all those pay-per-views? When are you going to get it in your heads that you're not Floyd? And this landscape isn't even the same kind of landscape that Floyd was in. Trying to siphon off money off the Mexican-American fan?
Yeah, Floyd did that based on the landscape that he was in.
In the landscape that you're in, this is the fight. The Shakur Stevenson fight. People are asking for it. People want to see it.
You just don't want to make it.
And that's the kind of offer they're going to send Shakur. They're going to send Shakur the kind of offer that somebody sends when they don't want to make the fight.
Prove me wrong.
You're supposed to be the cash cow. You're supposed to be the face of boxing. It looks a lot like you're clipping coupons when it comes to opponents.
Face of boxing.
Callum Smith wasn't a big draw when Canelo fought him, or Billy Joe Saunders, or Caleb Plant. I mean, a lot of guys that Canelo Alvarez fought were not necessarily big draws, but they were the people that he needed to fight at the time.
Dmitry Bivol was not a big draw when Canelo decided to move up in weight and fight him.
You were okay fighting the likes of Isaac Cruz, Rolly Romero. These are big draws.
Not when he fought him.
You were okay fighting Frank Martin, an even lesser known guy than those guys. You were okay fighting Frank Martin.
Cut the crap.
Cut the shit. You're looking for another whale of a fight. What you're looking for is another Ryan Garcia, but there ain't one around. Ryan is serving out a suspension, and even when he comes back, you guys are going to be removed by far too much weight.
They can still try.
Sure, of course they can still try, but that won't be until next year anyway. So what is Gervonta going to do for the remainder of this one? Sit out?
I'll tell you what I think he's going to do. They're going to send Shakur a shitty offer they don't expect him to accept. And then, after he doesn't accept it, that's going to turn into a whole thing. And they will move to face the winner of Rayo versus Cruz.
It's so predictable.
It's so boring.
Boxing scene is a lot more exciting in other markets right now, like the UK and Japan.
Because this is what's going on in the US.
And finally, after this past weekend's exhibition, Manny Pacquiao's hopes of fighting Mario Barrios for his WBA title, they were damaged by Rikuya Anpo.
Guy he just had the exhibition with.
Manny Pacquiao's world title shot against Mario Barrios has possibly gone up in smoke after his exhibition bout with Rikuya Anpo. Pacquiao faced Japanese kickboxer Anpo in a 3-round exhibition, and although there was no official winner, everyone knew the result. Pacquiao struggled to come to terms with the height and reach of the taller competitor and was picked off at will throughout. With the performance, the Filipino's hopes of facing Mario Barrios for the WBC welterweight title could be over after calls immediately started for the legend to stay retired. In the first round, Pacquiao came out trying to force his authority on the novice boxer, but was made to pay after he ate a stiff jab followed by an uppercut.
I saw the guy he was in there with. He looks to be about the same height and length as a Mario Barrios, similar physical dimensions. Was this intended to be a rehearsal?
An audition for that fight. Initially, I gave Manny Pacquiao a fighting chance against Mario because, frankly, Mario isn't very good. And if Manny Pacquiao is a fraction of the fighter that he was, he might have a shot. A fighting chance.
It's not wide-eyed optimism.
It's because Mario is the most beatable champion at welterweight right now, but it would seem that Father Time has caught up to Manny Pacquiao in a way, or maybe even Mario Barrios is too much for Manny. The veteran attempted to cut off the ring against the novice boxer, but the left hand of Anpo kept the much smaller Pacquiao at bay. At the end of the first round, Anpo turned his attacks downstairs, and a right to the body brought a smile from Pacquiao as he acknowledged the shot.
It's the thing about fighters getting older, even very good ones. They can know what they have to do, but they no longer have the reflexes and reaction time to do it on time.
Manny Pacquiao in his heyday was a very fast and ferocious fighter with a young man's style. We all know Manny. He was an offensive whirlwind, not a cerebral fighter, not a thinking man's fighter, a physical fighter. On his toes, bouncing back and forth, picking the right moment to step in and close the distance to start putting punches together. But at this age,
45.
repetition and muscle memory is still there, but not the same explosiveness, not the same intensity. Pacquiao came out for the second round determined to put right what had gone wrong in the first one, but it didn't go as planned. The former champion had success early with a flurry of shots, but it didn't last, and Anpo quickly pressed forward. Pacquiao seemed to fall for an amateur trick throughout the round. Anpo would start high and finish to the body, landing every time. The round finished with a frustrated Pacquiao waving Anpo on after he was unable to come to terms with landing on the taller man. Anpo came out for the third with a look of disbelief at how much he was landing on Pacquiao. The former kickboxer landed a big right hand that seemed to hurt Pacquiao and forced the veteran to hold. Anpo then wobbled Pacquiao again with a solid left hand.
Fighters, they never know when enough is enough. They always think they've got one more big fight in them.
One more, and Manny Pacquiao, we know he's got a mind for fighting, but not a mind for business. And I've no doubts if he's still hanging around and still thinking about coming back, but not just coming back for exhibitions, actual boxing matches for actual titles. Money has everything to do with it. You're not getting punched up by some young guy because you just want to have fun. You need money.
Manny needs money. Floyd needs money. I don't buy that these guys in their 40s are putting their bodies through this because they just want to have a good time. It doesn't look like a good time.
Manny's political career is over. The fighting senator, he's not a senator anymore. So it's no coincidence that he's turned his attention back to fighting, what he knows best, and in many ways, the only thing he knows. But Father Time has caught up to him.
So you don't think the Barrios fight happens?
I didn't say that. You know that last year, the PBC had the nerve, the audacity, to dust off Andre Berto, who hadn't fought in 5 years, to have a rematch with Robert Guerrero on the undercard of Morel versus Ekbeko. That was in December. Do you remember that?
I do.
Both guys were 40 years old going into that fight, and one of them hadn't fought in 5 years. In spite of the circumstances, the PBC had the audacity to put this shit show on the undercard of Morel versus Ekbeko. So when I think about Manny, as bad as he looked, I don't put it past them.
If he's willing,
They're able and they're ready. They'll do it. I think they would still do it.
I don't put it past them.
But now, where before I gave Manny a fighting chance on the premise that Mario Barrios is that bad, Mario Barrios is still better than an Anpo. Anpo is a kickboxer, not a boxer. But it's gotten to the point for Manny that you can't handle a kickboxer dabbling in boxing. You're gonna have a hell of a hard time with an actual boxer as bad as Mario Barrios is, so...
I don't give him a fighting chance anymore, but that doesn't mean it won't happen. He's bad with money.
All those people that were hanging around him in his heyday and where the money was going back then, what's happening now that his political career is over? Manny's never had a mind for business. In recent years, we saw that he went into negotiations for not only a Mikey Garcia fight on DAZN, but a Conor McGregor crossover fight, neither of which ended up happening.
I remember that he entered into a deal with Audi Attar. I think that's Conor McGregor's manager, or he was?
Why the hell did he do that? What the hell was the point? That relationship ended up turning into a lawsuit that I think has now been settled, though that's not the point. Had you never entered into that relationship, you never would have had to go through that.
He's got no mind for business.
And no business still boxing. He's too old. He's 45 years old. Trying to come back now is farce.
And for what it's worth, it probably wouldn't have been good for the welterweight division anyway.
Because imagine if Manny would have won. If he would have won the WBC title, do you think he was going to unify with Brian Norman? Do you think he was going to unify with Jaron Ennis or Imantas Stanionis?
No.
I hope he cancels his plans on coming back. I hope his people go in his ear and tell him, it's over, Manny. It's just over.
It's done.
Stay retired. Find a hobby.
Your boxing days are over.